Domestic violence is a tough subject to discuss. It's something that could happen behind closed doors, and because of the stigma around it, most people tend not to speak out. But it could happen a lot more often than you think. In fact, 1 in every 2 women say they've experienced domestic violence nationwide. The National Network to End Domestic Violence reports at least 580 people were survivors of domestic violence in Hawaii last year alone. And out of those numbers, more than 2/3 left their abusive homes and found refuge elsewhere. Here to tell us about this tough topic is Monique Ibarra, CEO of the Domestic Violence Action Center. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I know this is a tough topic, and we got to talk a little bit about the statistics, but there's also a study that I hear that shows that domestic violence is continuing to have a significant impact in our communities. What does that mean for Hawaii?
What that means, it can feel discouraging.
Yes.
That it's for all the services and all the years of awareness and training that's been in the community, that it's still happening. So it's a bit discouraging, but I want to come here and talk about some hope and things that we can do to help survivors of domestic violence.
Yes, and I love that you use the word survivors, because I know that is very important. So is it hard, or how hard can it be for domestic violence victims to get away from that situation and find safety?
It could be a matter of life and death. That's how hard it can be. So challenging in so many ways. And we say survivor because we know that it's difficult and challenging. And it takes a lot of internal strength, even external strength, to be able to survive and get through a domestic violence relationship, but also get out of it and get past it as well.
Yeah, why do you think it's important that, when we're referring to domestic violence, that we use that type of language, referring to them as survivors? Because I know they are. I mean, that is obviously a tough situation to get out of.
It's empowering. We want to empower survivors. We want to support them and let them know that we recognize what they have to go through. And so we are going to call them survivors because they deserve it, because they've gotten themselves to this place to survive and be where they're at in life.
I love that. That is part of that hope and that healing, giving
Absolutely.
them that empowerment. And I know the Domestic Violence Action Center has helped thousands of people in
Yes.
Hawaii. Tell me about some of that work that you're doing and how you're helping these individuals.
Absolutely. So the Domestic Violence Action Center has been in the community for over 30 years. We really got our help by offering a helpline call center to individuals so they can call in and ask for help or find out what is domestic violence, what resources are available to them. So that's been our steady guiding program that we've had in the agency for years and years. But we also offer many other programs. We have legal services such as divorce and paternity, and TRO services for survivors of domestic violence, because those can be very costly to go through a court system or a court hearing. But along with attorneys, we have advocates and we have paralegals that work as a team for individuals who are going through these services. So very important, because it's specialized trauma-informed services for survivors. We also have support groups. We have culturally specific case management. We look at diversity in all areas, LGBTQ, all the different community members, because domestic violence is in every single one of our communities. And so because of that, we want to mirror that and reflect that and offer the services that are specific to all of our families that are in Hawaii.
And I'm sure everybody's situation is probably very different,
Yes.
depending on their circumstances, where they are. So it's nice to hear that there are different resources for them to find that help. How could someone reach you? What is the best way to get in contact? I know you have a lot of different helplines available.
Well, we always have our website, so they can go to stoptheviolence.org, but our helpline number is 808-531-3771. So they can call that helpline number to get information. And we will talk about DVAC, but we'll also speak of other agencies and resources that they might be able to go to receive services. I also wanted to mention really quick, we also have housing support. So the intersection between domestic violence and homelessness is keen. And so we offer housing, but we also offer a teen alert program for youth to know what is a healthy relationship, and if they're not in one, what kind of help and support can they get as well.
That is amazing, and thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's very, very important for people to know what resources are out there, resources not just maybe for themselves, but maybe for a loved one or
Absolutely.
A family or a friend.
Right. And we get, oftentimes as community members, we don't talk about domestic violence too much because it's very uncomfortable, as you mentioned. But one of the best things that we can do is actually listen and believe someone when they're saying they're going through a domestic violence or an abusive relationship. Believe her, and then offer the support. Number one thing I'm going to say is if you can avoid asking why does she stay or why doesn't she leave. There's so many reasons why somebody might stay in an abusive relationship, and we really need to listen and help that person probably navigate. When they're ready, how do we help them to get past that? And that's when they can call a helpline or another domestic violence or social service agency that works with survivors of domestic violence.
Thank you so much, Monique. I'm glad you're bringing light to this topic because, again, I know some people don't want to talk about, but it is very important.
It's very important
Thank
to
you
talk
for all
about
you
it.
do.